We imagine Rome as an army of invincible super soldiers led by tactical geniuses like Caesar. We think they won because they were the best fighters. But the truth is far more humbling. Rome lost all the time. They were massacred in the Teutoburg forest. They lost entire fleets to Mediterranean storms. And Hannibal slaughtered their elite in a single afternoon at Cannae. Rome didn't win because they were stronger. They won because they built a machine that refused to break. They won because they built a system that could absorb catastrophes that would have wiped out any other civilization in history. If we look at the war against Hannibal, we see the Roman miracle in practice. Hannibal was undoubtedly the superior tactician. At Cannae, he killed between 50,000 and 70,000 Romans in a few hours. To put that in perspective, that's roughly the same number of soldiers the US lost in the entire Vietnam War in one afternoon. In any other ancient state, that would have meant immediate surrender. But what did Rome do? They didn't send a diplomat with a white flag. They raised new taxes, lowered the minimum age for soldiers, and kept going as if nothing had happened. The Romans' greatest superpower was their psychological resilience. They never accepted defeat as an end, only as a temporary logistical setback. The Roman legion was the world's first true industrial war machine. A Gallic warrior was likely a better individual fighter than a Roman legionary. He was taller, stronger, and more aggressive. But the legionary was a component. He was a standardized unit in an algorithm. Whether you were in Scotland or Syria, your gear was the same. If a centurion fell, the next man stepped up. The machine kept grinding. While enemy armies relied on charismatic leaders, Rome relied on the process. This meant they could afford to have bad generals, and they had plenty, because the system behind them was so robust. Rome was the ultimate professional. Their greatest weapon wasn't the sword, it was the spade. Every single night, no matter how tired they were, a Roman army built a fortified camp. Every single night. Then there are the roads. Roman roads weren't just for trade, they were military highways. They allowed Rome to move reinforcements faster than any enemy could react. But the most important part was their legal infrastructure. Rome offered something unique: citizenship. When they defeated a city, they didn't just say, "You are our slaves." They said, "You are now part of us. Pay taxes, send soldiers, and in return, you get protection and access to our system." In 249 BC, Rome lost almost their entire fleet in a storm, over 100,000 men. A loss like that would have broken the British Empire at its peak. What did Rome do? They dipped into private fortunes, built a new fleet from scratch, and tried again. The point: Rome had an inexhaustible well of human resources because their political system managed to integrate the people they conquered. Every time an enemy killed 10,000 Romans, there were 10,000 new Romans from the allied provinces ready to take their place. Rome didn't just conquer the world with force, they swallowed it. So why did they finally fall? It wasn't because the barbarians suddenly became geniuses, it was because Rome's internal system began to fail. When corruption took over, when the roads fell into disrepair, and when the logistical machine stopped running, they lost their ability to outlast their enemies. Strength isn't about landing the hardest blow. It's about the stability of your system. Rome taught us that you can lose every battle and still win the war, as long as you are the last one standing when the dust settles. Rome didn't win because they were gods. They won because they were the most disciplined bureaucrats in history.